We tried to make this fight before. The kid Ryan Garcia. We tried to make the fight. He chose. What happened, man? You know. Get a whole breakdown.
Yeah. I tried to make the fight, and they didn't want to fight. Bottom line.
She's back at something.
Say it again?
She said back up like it wasn't real.
Yeah, exactly.
He said that I guess he's going to do an exhibition with Pacquiao instead of fight. You know, you get to do an exhibition when you retire. So you can't be doing an exhibition when you're young and active. Real fights.
Those are the words of Floyd Money Mayweather, Leonard Ellerbe, and company. Leonard Ellerbe was explaining that, hey, we try to give him that fight. We try to make that fight happen with Tank, and instead he wanted to fight an exhibition with Pacquiao. Okay, let me counterpunch. I do remember that. I do remember a fight trying to happen between him, between Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. I do remember that. And Ryan did that was trumped over the idea of fighting Pacquiao because that fight's supposed to happen, that exhibition, whatever it was. Here's the thing. You can't get mad at Ryan for choosing Pacquiao over Tank. You know, because I didn't like the idea, because I knew that it was just a way for Oscar De La Hoya to get back at Manny Pacquiao for really studying the rest of his career and retiring him. You know, I don't think Oscar De La Hoya was intending to retire that fast, but Manny Pacquiao made him retire that fast, okay, by putting a whooping on that boy, making him quit on the stool. He made the Golden Boy quit on the stool, man. You have to remember that, okay? He made him quit. He made him quit. Right? And I think that the age difference from the time Manny Pacquiao was, how old he was in 2008. So, 12, 14 years ago. So that would have probably put Manny Pacquiao at, well, it wasn't that big of an age difference because Manny Pacquiao's 42 and he's 48. So that's 6 years difference. Manny Pacquiao was 30. He was like 36. All right. So, or 29. Manny probably was 29. You know, so he was definitely in his prime when he was whooping up on Oscar De La Hoya. And Oscar De La Hoya was 36. But, you know, 36 isn't like a definite time to quit. You know, it's a time when you're dwindling down, right? But, you know, it's not a time to quit. And I think what he thought of was Ryan going in there, being fresh, being very young, going in there and putting a whooping on the older Pacquiao, much farther in age difference as he was with Manny. And I think that was an Oscar De La Hoya thing, you know. So it might have, De La Hoya just went for that option because that option was available, okay? Now let's look on it at the other side. How about when Errol Spence was going to get the fight with Pacquiao instead of fighting Bud Crawford, an Al Haymon fighter? Nobody said shit. Okay, everybody was praising that because at the time, Manny Pacquiao was the current WBA super champion at welterweight. So he was going to fight him, retire him. Nobody said shit. Okay, so it cuts both ways. You getting mad at Ryan Garcia for picking Pacquiao, but you're not mad at Errol Spence for wanting Pacquiao himself. So you got to look at it. And this was an older Pacquiao. That was was that last year or whatnot? Yeah, that was last year. So I feel that both of those guys did the same thing, and they would have done the same thing because they both done the same thing. Okay, when it came to fighters, nobody had a problem with getting the Pacquiao fight, and nobody was pissed off that Errol Spence and wasn't trying to fight Terrence Crawford. And that was the biggest fight that could have been made at welterweight right there. It probably still is because both guys are still undefeated to this day, right? So if they were trying to make this fight, this is what I'm tired of, though. Leonard Ellerbe tried to make the fight. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt he tried to make it, which was a great thing for Tank, which was a great thing for Ryan, which was a great thing for boxing. But at the end of the day, though, people, if you're talking about what we tried to do versus what you're trying to do are two different things. So yes, we know Ryan Garcia wanted the Pacquiao fight, and then we tried to make that fight happen. Okay, motherfucker, what about now? They're both undefeated. They're both still active. So what's the deal? How about send some more work over? Let's stop talking about what you tried to do, because it's almost like that sounds more like what like Wilder and the Joshua shit. Man, we tried, and you know how many times we was like that type of shit. You know what I mean? This was only one attempt, right? And in this situation, let's make it happen. Let's see if that fight can be made now, since both guys are still undefeated. Why are we sitting there talking about something that happened in the past? Yes, you tried to make the fight once upon a time. It didn't happen. Okay, well, back to the drawing board. Okay, forgive and forget. Let's start back. Let's see if this fight can happen. Because we're tired of seeing Tank fight people we never heard of, and vice versa. Okay, Ryan fought one good opponent, and this motherfucker got mental problems. Right? So it's like, yo, let's make these fights happen. If these guys are still active, if they're ready for each other, I'm like Mike Tyson. Let's make these fights happen, man. Let's make these fights happen. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe stating that they tried to make the fight with Ryan Garcia. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.